Like talk.
Oh, I have you.
There she is.
Yes.
Right. Good evening, Larkspur. This is the regular meeting of the Larkspur Parks and Recreation Committee on Thursday, November 20th, 2025. Mr. Director, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes. Okay. Chair Baxter.
Present.
Commissioner Capel.
Here.
Commissioner Sunshine.
Here.
Commissioner Friedel.
Here.
Let the record show, Chair Harrison is absent tonight.
I hope she has a speedy recovery. This brings us to item number 2, public comment. The Parks and Rec Commission will hear public comments only on matters over which they have jurisdiction. There will be no commission discussion. The chair will allot no more than 5 minutes to any individual, unless the chair determines otherwise. The total amount of time allocated to this agenda item will be 15 minutes. Is there a public comment? Here or in cyberspace?
No hands raised.
All right, well, moving right along to item number 3, approval of the consent calendar. The purpose of the consent calendar is to group items that may be approved routinely. Anyone may request removal of an item for discussion. Is there a movement to approve the consent calendar?
I would move that we approve the consent calendar, including the minutes of October 16th.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving right along to business items number 4. I see we have a presentation from the wonderful Larkspur Community Foundation, the Arch Street Park Project.
Yeah, perfect. So Public Works Director Julian Skinner will start us.
You throw me a mic.
You know, it's not on it.
Oh, they're not working?
Yeah, we use the
Oh, the owl?
The owl.
So I have to talk loud?
Clearly.
All right, I'll try my best.
Quality of the commission.
All right, good evening, Julian Skinner, I'm the Public Works Director for the city. I just have a couple of short introductory slides for this item. The bulk of the presentation is gonna come from Larkspur Community Foundation, who have approached the city with the concept of creating a mini park or pocket park at the base of the Arch Street steps. This is one of their concept plans. They have a few more to share, but I'll leave that for them. So the purpose of the meeting tonight is to get your feedback on the idea of there being a pocket park in this location. It's not one of the 10 mini parks that the city currently maintains. It's never been used as a park. It's been vacant for, as far as we can tell, from records. There are, let me see if I've got that. Well, I'll show you the, I have a location map in here, but maybe it's further along. It's actually on a, it's proposed to be on a partially on a parcel that the city owns that's never been developed. We own it in fee. And then a part of it would be on the Arch Street right of way, the Arch Street steps right of way. So there's a 50-foot right of way there, the same as we would have for a street. This for the steps, and the steps are only like 6 feet wide. So this would all be on city property or city right of way. And so one of the things that we're going to ask tonight is whether you think it's appropriate to have a park in this location. If so, should we add it to our capital improvement program as an unfunded park project? The presentation you're going to hear tonight from the group, they've generated some concept plans. They're doing some fundraising. They have not made a request of funds for the city yet, but they would like city approvals for moving forward. So the path we usually take for that is we add it as a capital improvement program when we show it as unfunded until such time as the funding is identified. So some of the things as you go through their presentation to consider is, first of all, do you think it's appropriate to have a park at that location? Overall, do you think the size and scale of the park is appropriate for that location? And then we're not really, they don't have a detailed design, but it would be good to get some feedback on if you are supportive of a park at this location. Are there elements that are more desirous than not? Such they have some steps, they have some landscaping. There's a retaining wall. There's not really much we can do about not having a retaining wall because there's a slope there we need to cut into. But some of the other design items they will show you, it would be good to get some preliminary feedback regarding your thoughts. And then if you see it's missing something that you think would be a good feature to add there, that's also feedback that the group would be interested in. This is the location map. So again, this slide is oriented with north up on the slide. Magnolia Avenue is running bottom to top of the page, and then I kind of got highlighted in light blue a couple of rectangles here. One is the Arch Street right of way, so that's the 50-foot piece of property that the city controls. It goes from Magnolia up to Walnut that the staircase is in. And then between that and the apartment building to the south is the city-owned parcel. And then in green here kind of shows roughly the area that the concept design would encompass. Basically right from the back of the sidewalk on Magnolia into the hillside. And then these are their concept plans, but that's my last slide. What I'm going to do at this point, unless you have any procedural questions or capital improvement program questions for me, I'm going to hand it over to the group to go through their concept plan.
Does anybody have a question for the Director of Public Works?
I know I was.
Commissioner Friedel.
So capital improvement budget for the city, the last time I remember was 131 million. Is that where we sit? Would that include the library still?
Yeah, so there's a number of different ways of looking at the capital improvement program budget because it's actually it's a 5-year program. We plan out for 5 years, and we've had some big projects like the bridge, and we did $25 million worth of paving that were in there. It kind of fluctuates year to year. There's a spike right now because we're doing the library that's, you know, $18-19 million. That's a big chunk of our capital improvement program. If you take out the bridge and the big paving projects, you're probably looking at $1.5 to $2 million worth a year is how much work we do on our routine kind of cyclical projects. There's different pots of funding. We get grants. There's a lot of donations in the library project. And then we have other funds that are more restricted to paving and storm drains and things like that. There are a couple of different funds we use for park projects. One is the County Parks Measure A, that's a sales tax. We get a portion of that by formula every year. It ranges from $90,000 to $120,000, depending on how the economy is. And then anytime there's new development, there are park impact fees. There hasn't been a whole lot of new development lately. So our major source has been County Parks Measure A. And then there were a couple of state grants for parks that we've received recently. So that's kind of the funding pots for the capital program.
Okay. And then the council just approved 3.1 for the new Park and Rec building. That's totally separate. Does that fall into CIP as well?
That's in the CIP, yeah. So they approved that in concept. It still has to go back to the council to formally adopt a budget amendment to capture that money in the capital program. Yep.
Thank you, Julie.
Good question, Commissioner Friedel. Any other questions from the commission?
Thank you so much.
All right, we open it back to the public way.
Hello, my name's Laura Anderson. I moved to Larkspur with my husband 22 years ago. We raised 3 kids here and they are now all gone. So we are empty nesters, and I've been very involved in the community the whole time I've lived here. I'm now the Larkspur Community Foundation president, and I'm here tonight with Alicia Alexander, who we were both here on June 26th, so we are seeing you again. And I'm also here tonight with Jenny Tippett, who is our pro bono landscape designer for this project. And you will be hearing mostly from Jenny about these concepts later on. And thank you, Julian, for your staff report. It was very comprehensive in your introduction. So we are excited tonight to elaborate on the mini park concept that Alicia and I introduced to you 5 months ago during public comment on June 26th. Tonight, after Jenny walks you through all of the renderings, which we will pass out a hard copy before Jenny speaks. There will be an opportunity for us to have a question and answer back and forth. Our objective this evening is to secure the commission's recommendation to present this mini park concept to the city council in January, with the ultimate goal to add it to the city's 5-year capital improvement program. Since its inception 12 years ago, LCF has worked closely with the city on many projects throughout town. This is the first time in the history of our partnership that LCF has identified a city-owned parcel that might be developed into a community gathering spot. Our vision is to create a sustainable, accessible, inviting outdoor space that showcases Larkspur's many attributes. So now I'm going to hand it off to Alicia, one of our 9 board members. She's a 27-year resident of the Twin Cities and an experienced fundraiser. I threw that in for you too. Here you go.
Hi, I'm Alicia Alexander. I know some of you. Like Laura said, I've lived here for a long time, and I've done worked with the schools and been very involved in the community as well. This is what as Laura said, we've partnered with the city over many years, and we hope to continue this partnership with this project in the historic downtown. If it's well received, we hope to partner with the city on further to create further gathering spaces at other sites. For example, we sort of have our eye on the mini park at the entrance to Hillview, which would be an ideal park and meeting spot as the new development goes up there on North Magnolia. And we've heard that Rustic is expanding and that other retailers will be moving into that area. So then to be able to put another gathering space there would be sort of something we're keeping our eye on in the future as a possible partnership. Funding is always the big question with a project like this. We don't really know the true cost yet until we have an engineering evaluation and decide on, like Julian said, if there are other things that need to be added or removed from our original design concept, as well as materials that we use in the park and scope of work. We're in our minds estimating $250,000. We have had an initial bid on the site. And like we said, but things are very unknown at this point. LCF right now has $30,000 in seed money set aside. We also plan to use, we're doing the Rose Bowl dance again, put it on the calendar, September 19th, 2026. And the proceeds from that event will go towards this park. In 2024, income from that was about $40,000. We also have some donors already interested in donating to this concept, people that we've talked to in the community. We have not publicized it at all or really shown the renderings anywhere, just sort of, hey, what do you think about this concept? And have quite a bit of interest. So we know that we have potentially some donors there. Other ideas for fundraising are, adopt a bench, put your name on a brick, things that have been used in other parks in Marin and in the area. There will be different applications for recognition with materials within the park that we would be using. And then, of course, if we do fall short in our funding, perhaps Measure A funds from the city at some point, but we're hoping we wouldn't have to go there. Additionally, we've talked about having an annual $2,000 grant to the city for maintenance of this park. that would be set aside, and if it wasn't used one year, we could roll it over and for any larger projects, but to keep it maintained at a level that the city would like. And with that, I'm going to introduce Jen Tippett, who has been also very involved in the community for many years. She's been a Larkspur resident here for 33 years and has 16 years of experience as a landscape designer. And we feel extremely lucky to have had her volunteering to help us. Yeah. So here are some bigger images of what was up there on the street. So
Thank you.
hopefully they're in the right order. I think it's totally English. Hey, everybody. Thanks, Alicia. Okay, in June, the LCF invited me to design a welcoming space for residents and visitors of all ages that can gather and relax and connect in a really an area that's in the heart of historic downtown Larkspur, a site that's currently vacant, aside from the bus shelter, and I think we could all probably agree pretty neglected. So there's an opportunity there. It's a meaningful opportunity for community members and city stakeholders to work together to reimagine and revitalize the space. This design, I don't even know, can we just put the other one back up?
Yeah, do you just
Here.
want the,
I'm not sure how to screen
you would-
share
there
this.
you go.
Oh,
Oh, no,
oh,
this is me, sorry.
that's you.
And that's
You
fine
were
too.
to, so you could share your screen from this.
Oh, I do.
Yes, sorry.
The Zoom's way better. We can also just use the other pictures to do it.
Is that okay?
Yeah, totally, 100%. It's totally fine. So let's go back to the other pictures. The design is aimed to be, comfortable in a natural setting for a wide variety of users. We've got public transit users, we've got coffee drinkers, we've got people that are out for just a run or a walk, or even parade spectators. Our approach is to incorporate to incorporate the existing grade as much as possible, so that we're not moving a ton of dirt. We have some hillsides, so we're going to move some of that dirt down instead of removing it completely, and create an 18-inch raised plaza. So when I say raised, it's not raised by very much. We're talking about 3 6-inch steps. So if you think about looking across the street, right as you exit, you look right across the street at St. Pat's. It's a similar thought, right? There's 3 or 4 steps on one side. We don't have a slant to deal with to sort of get you up into this plaza. One of the other reasons to keep it raised is so that you don't feel like you're sitting in a hollow with a big retaining wall behind you. And then it just gives you a better visual access to sort of view the downtown area. The central planted area would feature a focal tree that embraces the character of the space. We would definitely want to stick with native plantings as much as possible, but one thought for that focal tree would be that beautiful multi-branch magnolia tree, given the space that it's sitting in. Accessibility is a key priority. Wide ramp along the front right here. It's a 5-foot ramp. And then we're going to pair it with multiple railings across the stair space so people can enter. You can also enter on the back side where the current sidewalk up to the stairs goes. There would be benches along the back wall, possibly with a few cafe style chairs and tables to further improve comfort and functionality. We plan to use locally sourced ecological materials throughout the project. So one of the other things I'm going to give you are other spaces that are publicly used. I think this will be helpful. The lumberyard, the depot, both of our malls. So we'd be talking about using locally sourced pavers. Mostly in a sandset manner, if possible. Perimeters, of course, have to be retaining wall materials, cement and whatnot. But really to keep it not looking like a skate park, just to keep it really natural and welcoming for everybody. If irrigation is feasible, and we're still trying to explore that, we would prioritize, as I said, native plantings.
We also propose upgrades. Oh, the bus shelter definitely needs some help. This whole project incorporates an upgrade to the bus shelter so that it, sort of fits in with the downtown area. The current plan, this is our current plan. We welcome your comments and suggestions. You've already seen renderings prior to this. Have you in previous? I have the old rendering if you want to look at that to see what the differences are or were. And we have already incorporated, because of Julian, several comments and suggestions, extra railings, wider access. Anyway, that is it for now, but I definitely want to take questions and comments if you guys have them. This is where we were, so if you want to compare the two. Unfortunately, I ran out of ink, so you have to show it.
Fantastic. Well, questions and comments from the commission?
Yeah, shoot. Elizabeth,
I had a question.
yes.
I'm curious about whether, like, have you done any analysis on how many people are at the bus stop?
I have not. Does anybody know
And
what the utility of it is in terms of?
Yeah, I can, I don't need the mic. From what I understand, it's not a very well-used bus stop. In fact, if it had been, Marin Transit would have had funds to support replacing the shelter.
Right.
But it doesn't reach their threshold of activity where they were able to participate in replacing the shelter. The shelter actually is a leftover from when it was a Golden Gate Transit route, and Golden Gate doesn't use that route anymore. Only Marin Transit does, but they just kind of inherited the shelter, but they don't have any plans to do anything with it. And I don't know what the number is, but it doesn't reach their threshold for shelter improvements.
so I'm curious, like, I appreciate the fact that you included this in the design, but like, is there an opportunity to talk to Marin Transit about consolidating other stops that are more, or making improvements to other stops that are more utilized?
Yeah,
And then maybe not
that's a good question.
including this.
To be honest, I think that if we were to do a nice job at restoring it, which I don't think will cost a lot of money to do it, I think it wouldn't be an eyesore anymore. And I think it still would offer people that use it a little bit of shelter, which I don't know, once again, I'd hate to take it away if people are really using it. But I understand it's a nice opportunity if it's not there.
I would just suggest that connecting with Marin Transit and finding out what the ridership there is.
Okay.
And just, that feels,
I think that's a really good question.
yeah.
Yes.
Any other questions?
One question that just comes to mind, I look at this and I don't know what the setback is from the street. I know that gets a lot of traffic there because we're pretty close to Perry's and that turn up to the canyon. And it comes to mind the long conversations we had at Niven with kids, and if someone's playing here and a ball runs out into the street, and the fact that the stairs would lend itself to me. I see a kid running down those stairs and onto Magnolia.
So the setback right now is you have a 5-foot walkway.
Right.
And then we have another 3 feet that we've incorporated. So you've got 8 feet from the road before the steps go up. So, could we set it back farther? I think the inhibiting factor is going to be the hillside behind it. So,
Right, or is there a way to make the entrance on the side more versus 2 big giant stairwells that lead right to Magnolia? I don't know what the setback is from the sidewalk, from the Niven fencing to the street, which that street there on Niven isn't to me, doesn't seem as busy as Magnolia is right there on that, ready to go. Cause there's a crosswalk there with a light, isn't there?
yes.
So it's clearly a busy street if it warranted a crosswalk with a light.
Yeah.
So I'd be concerned with 2 big giant, let's run down after the ball, or let's run after the dog, or let's run after the other child, versus would it make more sense? And it's a beautiful design. I
Yeah.
commend all of them. We just go back. Let me replay that. It's beautiful. I commend you all for bringing this to us and wanting to fund it and it's beautiful.
Mhm.
Our job obviously is to play devil's advocate and look at it and where can we, does it make
Yeah.
sense for the community? I just see children running down the stairs and into Magnolia, which is, we had so many conversations about that at Niven about was it safe and that it's fenced and was there gonna be a fence or not a fence? And I just see this as two big giant.
I think
Let's
there's
run
a
into that.
fine balance between addressing that concern, but also offering a space that people really want to go to. So could we narrow the stairwells more? They're like 8 feet right now. And that's pretty much average, so one person's going up and one person's coming down. You wouldn't be single file, so we have 2 8 or 9 foot entries. to
And
go
the
up there.
ADA ramp.
Yeah, I don't know if we want, and the ramp. So I'm just not sure how much more you want to narrow those spaces.
Well, like I said, you were clearly the architect, not me, but 3 egresses to the street versus maybe not having 3. And could you not have an entrance on the other side? Because the stairs are there.
Yeah.
People are using the stairwell, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just, again, just throwing it out there, because that's my fear. Same fear I have to live in.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I would just say thankfully, no one's been injured at Niven and, you know, I'm almost there every day. It's
Probably
been
shouldn't say
wonderful.
that out loud.
Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah, we,
Yeah.
we originally had stairs that went all the way across, and I was thinking it's a little bit more like, you know, like, not that we have Spanish steps, but you know, Spanish steps where
Right.
people sit and they have
Exactly.
their coffee and they, you know, have a sandwich. And that the more and more we close off that space, the less welcoming we really want people to use it. So there's that balance to find in between the two.
May I ask Julie another question? Having just gone through pricing with library and the new park and rec building, $250,000 for a park of this magnitude, does that make sense to you? Seems,
I mean, it's hard to say. It's definitely in that range, if not above. It's gonna depend somewhat on the level of finishes and what kind of materials, like with the retaining wall and, you know, whether there's stone and there's different types of pavers and stuff. But when you're moving that much earth and doing that much grading, it's probably, 250 and above.
like I said, I'm looking at a $12 million library that's coming in at 19, so.
Yeah, we had a contractor that I work with pretty often, and he usually comes in on budget, Zach Wall. And he bid it, he was really interested in it. And he came in even a little bit lower. And I think that we should be cautious about that number.
Yeah, I think, like I said,
But
I've never
it's-
seen a contract, I've
yeah,
never seen a
it's-
contractor without CEOs. Like I
it's
said,
about-
library was 12, it's 19 now.
It's about a 1,200 square foot space, which isn't really as big as it looks on here.
No,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah, it's
I've
not,
done development for years too,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, change orders,
Yeah.
$12 million library is 19 now.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
yeah, it is, it is.
any other questions?
Yeah,
I have a question.
yes.
I'm wondering about the utilization of this space. To me, you've got right across the street, you have Equator and the ice cream shop and all that. And do you envision this as being sort of spillover space? If it gets too crowded over there, people are like, hey, let's go across the street, there's more space. And if so, do you think you should make it more purposeful for that particular utilization?
Purposeful in that we have more tables, or purposeful in that, tell me what you're thinking there.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, because it looks like there's like a lot of open space.
Yeah, so that's
But-
about 15 feet, because we were just talking about this. So from the back of that planting area to the front of those benches is only about 15 feet. So once again, I think it looks a little bit bigger on here than it actually is. But sure, could we play with furniture layouts? Absolutely. Should we take advantage of that? Absolutely. It's the one spot in the morning that actually gets sun, right? So if you're trying to sit at Equator and have coffee and it's freezing cold, that other side of the street actually has sun. So if I would take my coffee and go sit over there. I also think that, you know, you see tons of people running up and down the stairs. I could see people ending up there doing their push-ups or whatever it is that they do. I think that if you were watching a parade, that would be where I would be elbowing myself to find a place to stand. I think that it has a lot of utility for a lot of different groups, including the spillover from the restaurants across the street.
Yeah, and maybe that's a good source for you to
I,
do some fundraising.
we
as
haven't
well.
talked about that for sure.
We didn't want to put the cart before the horse.
Yes, we want to make sure that we're, that we've got clearance here before we start talking to other people about getting on board.
Mhm.
But you're not wrong at all.
Yeah, I think that just having, more tables, because that's the way I see the space being utilized
Yeah.
mostly. I don't personally, I don't see kids playing there so much. It's gonna be more for a gathering spot, and as you say, at a certain time of day, it's gonna be a lovelier spot than across the street.
Yeah,
And we've all been on Saturdays and Sundays, how busy
it's busy.
Equator can get.
Yeah.
So having more space across the street. seems
And the
like
bagel place, I mean, just taking your bagel across the street and sitting down and
Right.
meeting a friend and having,
Bikers, you have a
the
bike.
biker group, yeah.
Bikers on the weekend. They would love that space.
That's all I got.
Yeah, great, great.
Okay.
Looks like a wonderful park. I guess, Mr. Director, could you advise on next steps for the commission to we,
Any questions?
Yeah, so I think if we've gone through the items that were on my slide, I think we've got some feedback. It sounds like there's general consensus that this should move forward and that it's appropriate to be a park. We'll take that recommendation, and the next step is we'll go to the city council and get this added into the capital improvement program as a park project. And then at some point in the future, as their efforts continue, they may get to a point where there's actually a formal design that then would come back to you as a park project, and then you would be able to start talking about the specifics and like the tables and the stairs and all of that stuff at that time. But I think all we wanted tonight was your general consensus that it makes sense for this to be under the purview of the Parks and Rec Commission, even though it's not technically a park. And that we use you as a sounding board as we move forward with the project. So I think I heard that.
Yeah, do you want a motion or?
Probably for the record, yeah.
Yeah.
Should-
do
Yeah,
we want to make a motion then to put this onto is it the CIP?
Make the business item.
yeah, I would ask for a motion that you agree in concept with this location being developed as a park
Okay.
under the purview of the Parks and Rec Commission, and that you recommend we move forward with this project, working with the Larkspur Community Foundation and take it through the city council process to. next steps.
Fantastic. Is there a motion to do what Julian suggests?
I can make a motion to add this to the capital improvement plan and to make this a city mini park.
Is there a second
I'll
to that
second.
motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great.
I just wanted to say on behalf of the Larkspur Community Foundation, thank you for your time and consideration, and we will be talking a lot more about this in the future. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And we're pumped to see you at the Rose Bowl.
Yeah. September 19th.
Fantastic. Mark your calendars.
Thank you.
Moving on to business item 4.2, utility box public park. Mr. Stone.
Stern.
Sure.
Don't feel as though you have to stick around for the whole meeting. if you're-
Well, no,
Oh,
there's.
Where's the?
Oh, staying.
You guys have been busy.
Yeah. Oh. Geez.
Just when you, yes, the button for
Yeah.
that, right?
Okay. Good evening. My name is Lee Stern. I'm also a long-term Twin Cities resident as well, and I'm also on the board of the Larkspur Community Foundation. I'm here today to talk about a couple new projects that we would like to proceed on. Basically wrapping some utility boxes at various locations around town. I actually worked on the first utility wrap that we did, the Larkspur Community Foundation did at Magnolia and Ward. So we kind of like spearheaded that process, which led to the adoption of our the arts policy, so that for these types of projects. So that's been a very successful project. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback, and we we used the artwork of a local artist, who donated their work. So, we want to now, propose a couple new projects, as I said. These projects will be funded fully by the Larkspur Community Foundation. We have the money set aside. We've done it before. We understand, who to work with. We will work with Davis Sign, who did the initial installation, and we would work with the artists who have actually come tonight, in case you want to ask them questions about what we're going to do. As far as like practical things around like maintenance and that kind of thing, the way it would work is we would get the requisite permits and so forth, and part of that would be an agreement with Davis Sign to make sure that they maintain the projects over a certain period of time and then remove them, which we did. And we feel there are other opportunities for other projects. So, this would be again a chance for us to kind of continue down this road, but we feel that there are other opportunities, like other utility boxes and other parts of Larkspur that we could potentially have similar type projects. So why don't we just, okay, so the first project we're going to look at is an installation at the intersection of Bon Air and Magnolia. So kind of just so that people understand, I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit here. Here's a map. So here we are at I was thinking it's actually the southeast corner of that particular intersection. It's an interesting spot because it's very visible from the street, from a lot of different angles from the street, but as well from the path that goes around. Okay, what we'd like to do is we'd like to have artwork by Kay Carlson, who's here tonight. She's a long-term artist here in Marin County. She focuses on, Northern California, flora, fauna, coastlines, that kind of thing. Actually, the piece of art that we're suggesting for this particular project is actually painted from the bike path down by where the bridge goes over the creek. So it's a view of Tam. This is the piece that we'd like to use. As you can see, it shows Tam. It's beautiful colors, beautiful, a very nice rendition of the mountain. And again, it is, a local landscape. I actually did some work with ChatGPT. So this is just a mock-up. This isn't exactly how it's going to look, but you can see here on the left is where we does this have a, yeah, you can see here on the left, this is what the box currently looks like. And once we wrapped it, this is approximately what it would look like. So you can see, coming around the corner or sitting at the light there, or coming from north to south and turning on, you as a driver, you would see it. And then you can see here that the path, goes behind it. And so we would situate it so that the artwork would be visible from all four sides of the project. We would also have signage that would, attribute it to the artist as well as to that we as the Larkspur Foundation, Community Foundation funded the project. So that's the first one we're looking at. The next one is a project here at Doherty and Magnolia. So across from the gas station, like right by the, abutting the Mount Tam Racket Club. And that's going to be actually art from Niz Brown. Niz, I don't know if you know, but Niz was a long-term resident. She's here tonight too. She had a real estate office as well as artwork here right by the Lark Theater for 35 years. She's got watercolors of beautiful florals. So I thought it was very appropriate to bring another local artist in for that particular spot. This is the work. It's clematis, the flowering vine. And again, here's where we're I'm thinking. Again, there's ample opportunity for, it's a very visible spot. You know, a lot of different cyclists, motorists, walkers, runners, whatever. You know, the path goes right by there. It's a very visible spot in the community. There's actually 2 boxes there with that we'd like to wrap.
Oh, wow.
The first one is, you know, here's what it currently looks like. So, you know, kind of nondescript. This is what hopefully it would look like. Okay. And again, we would work with the artist and the sign company to make sure that the wrap looks good. So that's it. Quick and dirty. You know, we also have the artist here. We have Kay is here, and as well as Niz in the back. So if you have any questions or comments or anything, please. And the other point I'd like to make is, and I've worked closely with Joan, of course. Joan loves from you, and she's amazing. You know, we definitely want to continue to work on this. So, you know, if there are other, you know, we would kind of like to spearhead this effort to kind of get more artwork and beautify the surroundings using this. So, you know, if there are other opportunities, you know, other parts of Larkspur, whether it be over by Marine Country Mart or on Sir Francis Drake or wherever, we would like to continue to do these types of projects going forward.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Mr. Stern. From the commission, are there any questions, comments, concerns, Mr. Stern?
I have a question. I'm just a bit confused as to when you mentioned wrapping it.
Okay.
Are we talking about a vinyl wrap that goes around it, or are we talking it's going to be hand painted, or exactly? Walk me through exactly how this will be installed.
Okay, so first of all, we take a file of the image, like a photo, like a JPEG or something like that. We take it, we send that over to the sign company. They then come out and they look at the site, and they talk to the artist, and then they figure out exactly how they're going to create a wrap, which is a vinyl wrap that would fit onto the utility box. They then do precision, you know, they precision measure it, precision cut that, and then they come back out and install it so that it gets you know, they use a very strong adhesive to adhere it to the metal side, so it has to be cleaned very thoroughly. But before they put it on, and that's how it works. So yeah, so it's not a painting.
Right.
So and that's why after a certain period of time, if it starts to fade, which it hasn't, if you go out and look at the current one, it's been over a year and it looks great. But if you need to remove it, it can be removed and it can be replaced.
And do you know what the lifespan of that type of vinyl is? Something like that?
I'm saying probably 4 years, I'd say, but maybe longer. I don't know. I'm guessing. That's a complete guess from my.
I think Dave was following that with Milton. I think he said, you know, 5 to 6 years.
Okay.
If they're kept.
Yeah, if they're kept.
If you maintain them.
Right.
And do you envision this as being something that would be replaced, you know, from periodically, or is this sort of like a more temporary, or 4 to 6 years, it wears out, and then maybe we think about replacing with another art installation?
Yeah, that's the way I look at it. I'd say we could either roll it and redo the existing art, or if we wanted to kind of rotate another art, you know, another concept into that space, we could do that as well. So it's not, you know, it's very flexible, right?
Okay.
Any other questions?
So it's actually, thank you, looks beautiful, and hi to Kay Carlson, I remember from the art festival, it's good to see you again, my dear. So a question for, I think, Director Stone. The timeline, I think that art, and this based on the new commission part, is in the application, how long the new art stays up, if I remember correctly. there's a time frame that when our new art installations go in, it's up for a certain period of time.
I do not think that there's actually a time period in there. I believe it is in the life of the art installation. So when they apply for it, sounds like it's 5 to 6 years, the life of the project.
Okay, all right, so then that brings up my second question, is it, and I don't remember if this is in that process that we approved, maybe my fellow commissioners will remind me, it probably might be helpful, because the process goes, the application goes to the city manager and you, I believe, before we get a recommendation or approval. When these are presented to us, maybe we should get the application, if something has to be redacted, that's fine. Or, like we used to do with tree hearings, if we could get the process, the approval process as part of our packet. So
Okay,
that we would have it refreshed, so we know, because I thought there was a time frame for when we had new art installation going in now. And I know this is sort of on the cusp because one of these was already in and then the art commission was formed and now these are coming in after, but so they're living on both sides of pre-art commission and post-art
yeah,
commission.
the art installations themselves is not, there's
Right.
not a specific expiration date on these unless noted in the application
Right,
process.
but we don't know that, so
Yeah,
we
okay.
don't know what that,
Okay.
what that timeframe was, so. if
Yeah.
The application
So
could say it's there for
application.
45
Okay.
years, my point, that's my point, so it'd be nice if when these things come, it's like we're all learning how this new
Yeah.
art commission component works.
Okay,
The application should probably be part of the approval process for us going forward. I mean, but
Great.
again, these lived on both sides of like the upside down world and the not, so.
Any other questions from other commissioners?
Great.
Great.
So,
Oh,
sorry.
no,
sorry.
please.
So
Commissioner.
that was kind of building on, Commissioner Fidel's question, like, in the new world of the rec and park and art, public art, approval
Our new
process,
world.
is this now part of our purview and do we have necessary approval or recommendations to the
So
council,
this-
like, what's the, I'm just trying to understand what
Yeah.
our role is.
yes, this application went through the city manager's office, so it was reviewed by Dan Schwartz, city manager. And he approved it from his side, which is kind of a liability standpoint. And then it goes to the Park and Rec and Arts Commission, kind of for concept design and, you know, does this fit with the character of town? And for your approval. So at this point, if you were to approve these pieces, it would be approved and then the contract is set up, with staff.
I have a question in terms of the procedure here. I reread the policy, the city policy, and it talks about the importance of community outreach. And it talks about there must be 2 meetings of the Parks and Rec Commission. So this would be the first of the meetings, and then would have to go through a second meeting and see if there's any more community outreach, if anyone wants to discuss the project, talk about the artwork in particular. Is that a correct interpretation? Because
Yeah.
it talks about major art installations and minor installations, and
Right,
it's a little bit,
Right.
yeah, there seems to be some gray area there.
right, so people had a chance to, just like anything, could,
We can't
Comment.
amend that
Mhm.
to one.
you can't amend it now, no,
Okay.
because it's pretty
Like
much
a
down.
first, yeah.
That's why
We could.
we can't do
I
it
can pull
now.
it up.
Not right now,
Like,
yeah.
We can't do it now, we can go back and do it after.
Since this is the first time pretty much for us to be doing this, I think we should really be clear on exactly what the process is
Yeah.
involved.
Yeah, I thought it was 2 readings. Because we also were gonna announce it, we also were gonna. No, and we also were gonna announce it, and I don't remember it being announced either.
Or is the announcement the fact that it was part of the agenda for today's?
I mean, the whole program never got announced.
Oh, gotcha. started boring with this, bureaucratic procedures here.
Sure, yeah, right, exactly. They say government, small government is small. Yeah, it's like the small dog park and the large dog park. What's a small dog, what's a large dog?
Yeah.
Remember those
Is
names?
there, no, I remember this argument. It's,
My dog
what's
is
the
small.
journey? Does anybody recall what the delineation is between minor and major art
Well, but also,
installation?
but I don't remember if was that the delineation between two readings?
I think there's a question from the audience, which
Which
I'm
we should
excited
get, we're
for.
supposed to ask anyway. Does anyone in the audience have questions?
I don't have a question. I just have a kudos to Lee for this idea. Because I'm the just recently retired executive director of Marina Studios, as well as being an artist. And I think this is just a fantastic idea and a way to remind your citizens of their artists. And also, I'd like to spread this idea around Marin, if you don't mind us copying.
Well, while you're looking, Nick, can I ask a question? of the
Thank you. I
presenter?
didn't have a question.
Yeah,
Sorry.
go ahead, Commissioner.
Like, great, not a question. You mentioned, but I didn't see it, so forgive me, you may have done it and I didn't, how you were gonna, identify the artist. Is there gonna be a plaque? Is there gonna, how are you gonna do that? How are you gonna identify it?
It would just be,
That'd be like 9 other meetings, because like we had to have, how we identify trees, trees in the park, that's also.
Fully either, design it so that part of the wrap actually has that.
Like, so, yeah, I think, is it on the one that's on?
No,
yours?
we didn't do it on that one.
Okay. Because that's probably part of the presentation, I recommend that you, in your design, your chat GPT that you did is,
Yeah. So we would probably have
Design
like
of the
Larkspur
product.
Community Foundation or logo.
right,
And
exactly.
then it would have, maybe just a small,
I think we got this.
yeah. So,
Yeah, I'd like to, that would
yeah,
be.
or we can actually install a sign.
Right, well, but that's a whole other situation.
That's a whole nother situation.
Keep it on the, keep it on the
Let's keep it on the wrap, all right.
Okay, that's it.
If I may,
Yeah,
I found it.
I'm looking at it, this is one of the documents that you had included,
yeah,
and this is the part under community engagement requirements.
yes.
It says, for all public art projects, particularly those intended for long-term installations, public engagement will be a critical part of the proposal process. At least 2 public meetings of the commission must be held as part of the review process.
What section are you in?
Community engagement requirements. Page 4 of 6. I'm not sure if it's the same document that you're
You
looking
might have an old draft of.
Okay, so then you might have just included an older version as part of the.
Which document where did you pull the link up from?
So I clicked on 4.2 utility box public art. And then there's some documents that were
Yeah,
attached.
Well, then I'm definitely gonna say we should have said, wait, hold on.
So we have actually designed
You have an idea?
for what
I'm
happens.
just saying, I mean, I'm not, it's not.
Yeah, so you guys want to say.
Oh, yeah.
Nice job.
Not-
Yeah, I'm gonna get it also.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you're gonna chat to you.
Yeah.
Is there a movement to like?
It says a recommended, it doesn't say required.
Why not? Why not?
Because it's already out there, you have to
Where do you
agenda,
find it?
is cannot discuss something not on the agenda. It's not on the agenda, so you can't discuss that.
It was the first hit when I Googled it.
We can.
Yeah, but that's gonna draft it.
Okay,
You never
yeah, can we have a motion to then agendize this for our next meeting?
If we can agendize it for the
Okay.
next meeting.
Great.
You can't discuss something not on the agenda,
Okay,
sorry.
Mr. Director, can we agendize at our next meeting, simplifying this process into a single
Well,
approval?
there's confusion if there is one or not, there's 2 different documents out there, so we don't know.
Yeah,
the
I-
Process.
So I clicked the same link and I think I'm seeing something different where I see a minimum of one public meeting and 3 letters of support.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
if you go
I
up,
saw.
if you go about, I don't know, 8 paragraphs higher, you'll see under community engagement requirements, it's the,
I would, well, I would recommend that we put this agenda item over to the next meeting while we as government figure this out and not engage our.
Okay.
Things process.
That was an oversight. Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Commissioner Capel, okay. So I would ask that you,
I would make a motion that we put this item over to the next meeting. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, while we figure out our housekeeping. I don't know that
What
a
our
month is going to
process is.
slow you down in the middle of the holiday season,
No.
hopefully.
Are
So-
you meeting
And then that
Just
second
forgive us.
meeting could potentially be the approval of Mr. Stern's
Just-
awesome
we just don't-
draft for these utility boxes that.
While we
already
decide,
suck.
while we figure out the process, that we would decide, we make a motion that we put this item over.
I second that motion.
Great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
but I think,
So then
we're
you
following what happened is there's, in the same page, there's basically one that says needs 2 meetings and then another
Yeah.
that says 1 meeting, so. That's
will you
the-
let us know once you've figured out what
We'll just put it, we need to put it back on the
three
agenda.
letters
Yeah.
of,
Stop on this.
Yes.
Oh, I think that in general, this
Thank you
Meeting in
very much.
December, we can talk about
I think we're, you know,
I'm assuming this is for me.
December, 3rd Thursday, December.
Well, you can
Okay.
do whatever you want, like
That doesn't.
Christmas
preclude us
markets,
from-
whatever.
I'm putting it in lights, but just remember.
Put it in lights.
Seems like we got.
Okay.
That, so.
but thank you very much for
Thank
making
you.
the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're in favor of what's.
Yeah.
I think you just work with Dan at that point.
Sorry for.
And that's what.
But I think it's important for us to get the
Yeah,
process
to
down.
figure out.
I agree.
Because I think that, you know, it's true, I think that the public should have a couple opportunity, or at least an opportunity.
Appreciate you.
Rebuttal.
And then push in there.
Sorry. And I think that's why those in
And
there.
we,
Exactly.
There has to
no,
be
I
two-
agree, I agree.
two different-
Okay.
Also, change all the issues then.
Thank you.
Thank you, LCF. And
Thank
moving right along to business item 4.3, 2025 summer picnic tables report by Mr. Dick Stone.
Thank you so much for coming. I think it's great.
Thank you, Chair Baxter. Quickest report you'll ever see.
Oh, the best.
So I had wanted to do that. I think I did this for you guys a few years ago. Just a wrap up of the Piper Park picnic area is a very popular spot. One of the more popular places to have picnics in Marin. A lot of rentals. I think we're only, the only place that gets more picnic rentals is McNear's, out in San Fel. Very close. But revenue wise, we're also, way up at the top. So this is just an overview of our table grouping, so you can see the map on the right. And so we have the groupings A, B, C, D, E, and then 26 and 27, and 28, 29 in the middle. And then this is what we're charging. So these rates go up, cost of living every year. And you will remember, I think everybody was actually on the commission when we talked about this. We used to book the tables at $40 per table per day.
Wow.
That was just how it worked. And so people would often work the system where they'd get, tables 21 and 23 and hope that nobody would get 22 and 24 next to them. And then they would also just have it all day. So if they were having a 5 o'clock picnic, it would be reserved all day. Technically, nobody could use it before then. So we switched over to these block schedules. So a half day is basically sunrise until 1 p.m. And then the other half day is 1:30 to sunset. And what you can see in this area too, we have 2 bounce house spaces that are approved by the commission. These are spots right now that are using generators generally to get these inflatables fired up, and the whole reason that we have two bounce houses historically, why we only have two bounce house spaces, is because the idea of that many generators is tough on people's ears, and it's bad for the environment, and I think it's always been looked down on. But there are also those two bounce house spaces are connected to the two most popular rental spots. So we can see our next one. So the spots that allow bounce houses are group E and D. So D has absolutely no shade, bakes in the sun. It's kind of a tough spot in the summer, but it allows a bounce house. So people will book it. We had almost 80 bookings at Group E this year. So by far, every weekend there's people out there. That's what the first spot people get. It's shaded by some pine trees. They're probably not long in this world. And then we have the other popular spot is Group A, which is has some sails over it that give it some good shade over by the willow tree, kind of next to the stage out there. Groups B and C, bake in the sun, also no bounce houses attached to it. So it's kind of a last resort for people. 26 and 27 and 28 and 29 actually have some really good shade, but they're small groupings of tables. So it's very small parties that happen over there. So those are 2 tables at each, generally for parties of 20 or less.
And you said the bounce houses were at Delta and Echo?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. They have the highest usage.
Yeah. One other thing to factor is that Group E is the closest to the playground as well. So a little shot at our revenue here over the years. I think we had a down year last year, but generally people are mostly at this stage now booking just about everything online. So you can see that we came in just under $30,000 this year, and this is for rentals between April and October. So we don't do rentals over the winter months just because it becomes a hassle with rainouts and cancellations and kind of doing the refunds constantly. And there's also a level of expectations that we can't maintain out there in the winter. So last time I had checked in with neighbors in our neighboring cities, their big regional parks we're pulling in about 50 to 60% of this total. Told you, I'm short. That's it.
Any questions for Director Stone?
I have a question about the rental program, not so much revenue on the revenue side, but remember a couple of years ago, we had the person who lived across a creek and they were complaining about the noise and
I asked to sit down.
yeah, we won't go over that again. But I guess my question is, have things calmed down, settled down with that? Are you getting many noise complaints these days, or?
Great question, actually. Yeah, so we do have yes and no. So Joshua is our new recreation coordinator, and he's actually scheduled to work on Saturdays. So he'll be out there. He's been out there this summer monitoring on Saturdays. So he does have permission when things are a little bit out of hand to go out there and just kind of keep the volume down. You know, he's not able to write tickets or fine people or anything like that. So it's just more of a presence out there. So I think on that side, we've seen better behavior on Saturdays. One of the other things that we're also seeing is a rise in Bluetooth popularity. So it's, you know, those 10 years ago when the rules were made, a lot of people didn't really have Bluetooth speakers or wireless speakers that they were able to bring out there that could really put out a significant amount of noise. Right now, I could pretty much, if I wanted to, I think could buy speakers out there that could run music in the park that are Bluetooth that have no power. It's the technology is really improved over the years. So when people go out there on a Sunday with a Bluetooth speaker it can put out a lot of noise. So in that sense, I think it could be worse sometimes.
Mhm. Speaking of technology, I'm curious, with those bouncy houses and generator noise, you know, nowadays there's those battery generators, you know, that are off silent. Do you ever see anyone using that type of technology for those bouncy houses, or is it typically more of a gas powered, you know, Honda generator?
Those I've seen smaller bounce houses using those kind of kind of the house versions, the ones that you can just buy online, and they're a couple $100, meant for like 2 and 3-year-olds. So I think those can run on those batteries, but the big ones with the big air blowers they're operating for 4 or 5 hours on time. Yeah, and then there are also rental companies. I mean, those disappear really quickly if you leave those somewhere. So they're not necessarily willing to invest in those. So there is electrical out there. And we've had bounce houses run off the electrical out there. It's been inconsistent a lot of times. And then there's also it's under lock and key. So making sure the right people have access to it. So this last summer, most people operated with generators again. We're hoping that with the further electrical upgrades at Piper that will hopefully people will be able to run the bounce houses on the electricity that's currently out there.
And would you charge more for something like that if they utilize?
That is that's good, and that's something that I'm probably going to bring to you in the next few months, which is why you're getting this quick short report tonight. But yeah, hopefully at some point in the future we can run some electrical out of that, and then we would charge for like an administrative cost for that.
Mhm.
That's fantastic. Is there another question?
That is my kid on my thing, since we take advantage of having public works director in the room tonight. I know the new building is bringing power into the park. You know, excites me very much, but I love that I can make Julian laugh. But that plan didn't include bringing power out to where the bouncy houses are. And I know that we have music in the park power problems, flipping constantly. Nick spends a lot of time on Friday nights running back and forth, flipping, depending on how many amps they have out there, I'm sure. Any chance that we could, because that would allow us to plug in and charge more, and maybe, I don't know if the power charge would pay for it, or.
Yeah, so the Recreation Offices project includes a proposal to upgrade the power for both the building and some electric vehicle chargers out there. It's gonna involve working with PG&E, so it's gonna take a while until we have the actual answers of what that looks like, but our understanding is with the number of electric vehicle chargers that we're going to add out there, it's gonna require some significant PG&E upgrades all the way from Doherty, which means that we can then bring in the power to the parking lot and upgrade all the panels there. And then part of the reason why the power in the park all over is intermittent is because there's too many things funneling off of the small PG&E connection we have. It's not necessarily that the wires going all the way out to the picnic area aren't good. It's just when everything gets together and the EV chargers at the PG&E point, it's too much. But we'll have an electrical engineer will be part of the design team for the library, and that's one of the things that we're going to make sure that when we bring the power in for the new building and for the EV chargers, that we bring in enough capacity for what we might need in the park. Now, PG&E is a little, what's the right word, finicky. They don't allow you to install equipment for future uses. So let's say you're building a house and your needs in your house are only for a 200 amp panel, but you say, I know next year I'm going to do an addition, I'm going to do all this stuff in my backyard, I'd like a 400 panel. They will tell you no, come back in a year and get your 400 panel. It's something to do with the grid and how they manage their grid. They don't like putting out more power available than people say they need or they're willing to sign on for. So we'll have to be pretty strategic in coming up with a plan so that we just go to PG&E once, so we don't have to go back to them.
So a lot of bouncy houses to cover future electrical needs that we might have in the park.
We just need to identify what it's for, yeah, so. And then there'll be increments, so the PG&E power, when it comes in, you know, you have a 200 amp or you have a 400 amp, and then it starts to step up, and we'll have to see where we are and how close we are between the panels and what it would take to bump up to the next one, so we have some extra capacity. But that, we'll figure all that out as part of the.
Right. And would it make sense, because all the EV charge parking spots are gonna be in front of the new recreation building? If we put any of the charging spots down at the other end of Piper, which, by the way, thank you for the beautiful new Surrey seal. And the removal of the 3 trucks that were basically a museum monument, or what have you. Could any charging stations be there? Would that help bring power that end of the park?
It might, but we would have to look at what the cost differential was to taking the extra conductors down to that end. The other thing is when you have the banks of the EV charging stations, some of them have to be ADA accessible.
No.
So if I split them up into 2 separates, then I basically lose a space because you're gonna have an aisle for
right.
ADA space, so. That's why in most places you see them all grouped together.
Oh, I know. Thank you, John.
All right, thanks for bringing power to the people, Mr. Director Skinner. Any other questions for number 5 director's oral report?
You don't need anything from us on your thing?
Nope.
Fantastic. Let's move on to item number 6, commissioners' reports. Are there any reports from the commissioners? Fantastic. Let's move on to item number 7, adjourn the meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Bye.
Thank you, Nick. That was a full agenda.
Oh my gosh,
Make a